So I'm here today with Liviu, and we're going to talk about Druid AI. Druid have been on the market for quite a few years now, and I know there's a big tie-up with Microsoft, but perhaps Liviu, you could tell us about the history of the company, how you came up with the name before we kick off.
Yeah, so I set up the company Druid in 2018, in January, February, after I quit TotalSoft, which was the largest company which I founded, and I was CEO for 20 years. And that company was very well known for their ERP product, Charisma, the most popular in Romania. And I sold this ERP in 45 countries in the world, including UK, in financial sector, like Deutsche Bank, like Paribas, like Raiffeisen, anyway, in many banks and financial sector. So DruidAI was founded in 2018 in January, February as an artificial intelligence company to provide a platform for chatbots. That was my dream. I started with some people with a huge experience in business. Majority of them, they came from TotalSoft. And that was an advantage for us because they were mature regarding what means, let's say, ERP, what means database and everything. So from the beginning, I found some investors to invest in Druid. We took around 2 million euro, and after 1 year in 2019, we launched the product. The first major client was Banca Transilvania, which is the largest Romanian bank, including all the international banks. It's a very modern banks, and we started with a chatbot for HR, so it means for employees. But now, after let's say 1 year, we can say that all the chatbots of Banca Transilvania for onboarding, for my account, for internal or external are on our platform. And this is a great use case because, as I said, we started as an internal chatbot and then was implemented for all their processing. And of course, the banks in Romania, majority of them are working with our chatbots. I'm talking about Société Générale, Unicredit, BCR is another very big Erste Bank, in fact, Raiffeisen Bank, and many other banks not so big in Romania, like Libra Bank or Idea Bank. So that means that almost all the financial sector acquired our chatbots. And but the most important achievement of Druid was that last month in May, UiPath, which is a very well-known, let's say, artificial intelligence as well company, decided to promote our chatbots all over the world, and is the only technology which is distributed by them, of course, accepting their product. So this is very honored for us. It's a stone corner in our evolution, because you can imagine that that means that theoretically, everywhere where there are RPA robots, our chatbots could be connected, and is a fantastic chance for us. It's a fantastic challenge, and we'll try to take all the advantages due to this reseller contract. So it's and this year our company grew up almost 4 times more than last year, and I'm very confident that in the end of the year, independently of this dramatical period, Druid will continue to grow at least 4 or 5 times more than last year.
Okay.
It's true that last year was not a great year in numbers, but because it was in a way the first year when we started to sell our product, but anyway, it's doing well, Druid, at that moment of time. Yeah.
Do you believe that it's the technology or the relationships that have made you grow so quickly?
I think it's both, because this kind of question, it was even myself, I didn't put it in. But I think technology, it's maybe the first asset, the major asset, because for sure, UiPath decided to distribute our product due to the technology and not due to the relation. But on the other hand, it's true that my relation in these 25 years working in IT with just only private companies, not with public companies, gave me an advantage in order to reach, let's say, in an easier way to different clients. So it's both, but now our intention going internationally, there the relation maybe will not be so important. I don't believe in lobby as a leverage of business, because a business should be, let's say, doing through referrals. So that's the key of business in general. Lobby is for one client, 2 clients, 10 clients, but not more than this.
Okay, so moving outside of the region, because naming some of the banks you've mentioned, you're clearly already a regional player, and working on the word enterprise chatbot, which we've been introduced to. So the word is enterprise chatbot, I understand. We've looked at the market, and there are a few companies already outside of Romania offering this service. Well, one of the companies we looked at is inperson.com. And there's a few others too. Can you tell us, how your product differentiates from theirs and how you're able to take them on the international market?
Yeah. First of all, there are, when we, to be honest, when I started, or before I started Druid, my product, which was in my mind and my product owner mind, was not identified like a chatbot platform. It was like a self-service, and this, let's say, always in a business when you are doing a startup, the ignorance sometimes is very helpful. So my ignorance regarding the chatbots work was in a way very positive, because I believe at the time that I'm very original, and I started with a lot of force, a lot of exciting feelings that will succeed. So regarding the names you mentioned here, what I observed is, first of all, they are focused more to B2C business, to the external users for a company, and not so, they are not so focused for employees, for internal users. So we will try to cover both, but internationally, I will try to focus more for internal users, that means for employees, in the idea that each employee to have a chatbot, a robot. And I will say you why it's extremely important. It's a process of democratization of information in a company. The information to be for everybody, and due to this a new paradigm regarding working from home, and to be very mobile, and to be, let's say, independent by anybody in order to use a self-service, is very important to give to an employee to access all the data, and to be very connected with all your employees independently where they are. So from this perspective, we develop like a hub of artificial intelligence connected to all applications through our connector. The success, for example, that even Microsoft and Capgemini, UiPath, and the Big Four are promoting our product is exactly because our connector was very sophisticated, very well developed in order to connect with robots, with ERP like SAP, like Microsoft, like CRM. And this will give us an advantage based on our experience, which we had before regarding the business application. And I think that the future will be the employees to be more and more informed in an objective way. And this, I think, will try to differentiate with our competitors. And there are another fact regarding, at that moment, due to the actual technology, if you started just only last year, you have an advantage because the technology was changed so fast. And if you was, let's say, if you started 3 years ago, you have a disadvantage because meanwhile the technology was so changed. So as fresh you are, you have a technological advantage.
So speaking about Microsoft just for a moment, a lot of people that we work with obviously know Microsoft for .NET and SharePoint and all these slightly older versions. Clearly you've looked at Teams and you've been working a little bit with Microsoft on the Teams side. We'd love to see Teams look a little bit more like an intranet one day. Perhaps your chatbot would help them with that. Can you explain how the cooperation with Microsoft on the Teams platform has occurred?
It's very interesting. First of all, our platform is, let's say, designed based on Microsoft technology, and majority of our software program are developing in .NET. This is regarding technology. Regarding Teams, which I think it's a great product. It's absolutely a great product, and Microsoft, let's say, it's very focused to improve permanently Teams. And for us, Teams gives a fantastic advantage, and I will tell you why. If you want to work on mobile as an employee, it's important to be identified in order to log in very secure in the system. Otherwise, you have to connect with Active Directory, different others rules and other passwords and so and so in order to be identified. Through Teams is a very natural way. It's done the work by Teams. We just use the advantage of identification by Teams and security. So for us, Teams is a big advantage if the client has, and then we started to promote Teams to the client in order to be very easy for us that a chatbot, an employee to start to work, to dialogue with a chatbot being in Teams. So this Microsoft and Druid understood we shake their hand in order to together to promote when we have an advantage that Microsoft promotes us due to our chatbot, which is integrated already in Teams. And I have some example. We started in Banca Transilvania, but then in a very big, maybe the largest health care company, Regina Maria, also has Teams, and many others. So at that moment of time, I think 75% of our clients are using Teams.
Okay, and clearly we've just been going through this horrid virus, and I assume that your product has increased in demand when it comes to your customers during this time. Could you explain a little bit about how much growth
Yes.
during the virus?
I think, first of all, to be honest, I think it's not very ethical to be very, let's say, saying that within this dramatical period, I grow the business and it's a fantastic period for Druid, because take into consideration how many people suffer due to this pandemic. It's to be a little bit humble regarding the advantage of this is not very ethical, and I do not like to take an advantage due to this dramatically period. On the other, however, it's true that in this period of time, the banks especially ask to us in order to fix different needs they have. For example, like deferral credits, which was extremely important in Romania, for example, in other banks, that the clients to postpone the, let's say, loan rates, and that was done through our chatbots, and it was necessary to be implemented in a couple of days because the law was, let's say, valid for just 1 month or 2 months, and it was important to be very fast implementation, quick implementation, and this was possible to be done with our platform. Also, onboarding for the banks was more need at that moment of time because the people was not so easy to move from home to the bank. So onboarding through a digital process like our chatbot was also a big advantage. My account as well on the banks. And so in this, and also for employees, all the employees to have a chatbot to ask different questions regarding working from home, regarding like help desk for IT, because not all of them they were very literate in IT, and it was necessary to put different questions, and instead to call let's say support in different companies, a chatbot could fix a lot of issues. So due to these needs, I think that we are very busy, and we are very busy. But and I'm sure that everything that we have implemented due to this period will remain. I think this accelerates the process of digitalization in the banks, and not only in banks.
Okay, I'm just going to play devil's advocate with you a little bit though, because one of the things that we've been covering here at the magazine is the fact that the tech companies, we're talking about Zoom here and many others, are some of the reasons why the stock exchanges haven't collapsed further. So we are looking for companies like you globally to give us hope that the future is tech and the future is there. And I think that you can consider it as, obviously we've gone through a difficult time, but digitalization has moved up a gear. And I think we've become more in touch with startups in the sector of technology and what they can give to us. And with that in mind, let's talk about your technology, because to do NLP on this level, you need someone who really understands cognitive. Can you tell us a little bit about who
I will tell you
Druid is?
Exactly. I will tell you, first of all, we have a team of data science, which is, let's say, very active researching for NLP, for semantic NLP. And to be more and more, this is a technological part of what we are doing. If the rest is technology like the platform, like the architecture, but this is a very technical part, which is should be the biggest asset of Druid. And I will give you an example that together with Ernst & Young, EY, we attend RFP launched by Huawei in Chinese language, where have been invited around 100 chatbots company with a platform, and they put around 1 million of questions to be answered very fast and as much as possible accurate. And due to our NLP, we were filtered in the first 4 companies. So that was an impressive validation, because in order to be validated, your NLP is necessary time to see exactly how in time a chatbot became more and more smart, more and more literate and competent. And I think here is necessary a lot of research. But what I would like to mention, and is interesting, is that our platform is very open. If I will observe, for example, for different things that RASA, I don't know, it's a very, let's say, one of the most performed NLP developed by a German company. If we observe that has different, is better or is more advanced compared my solution, I can integrate their NLP in my platform. So what is the advantage is to be more and more agnostic, because if you are just with, you cannot do this, is for sure that will be another NLP in the world, maybe more performance than mine, because this is, but if this will be, I can integrate in my platform using that specific NLP. And I think this is a secret to be more and more agnostic from a technological point of view. For example, for WhatsApp, we integrate with Vonage, and we put WhatsApp on our platform. With electronic signature, we are working with Namirial, which is also another provider. And this, I think, it's great, because that is an advantage of a platform, to be very open in order to integrate all the technology which is present.
Okay, but just to go back to the technology part for the moment, because from our understanding, artificial intelligence, as we know it today, was Demis Hassabis's love child, for lack of a better word. Are you perhaps going to be able to have that kind of position within Microsoft, much like DeepMind has created their own area in Google?
It's an interesting question regarding how is developed Google or Microsoft, and I will give you an example. Of course, that Google has a great chatbot, Microsoft as well, but because they are so big, they are very, let's say, very abstract. So in order to be a fantastic chatbot, there's necessary partners. All the partners are doing what Microsoft is conceptual fantastic. It's required partners to be very useful for a specific client. And this means that it's not possible to say how is the chatbot of Google or how is the chatbot of Microsoft, because they are very generic, very, let's say, depends of the partners, how qualified are the partners, how competent is a specific partner in a specific town, a specific country. So, and due to this, that will give to this kind of companies like Druid or like Core.ai or like Person to be very, very competitive in front of Microsoft or Google, because they depend of partners, and not all the partners are the same. That means that not all their chatbots are good. Sometimes we say that this my chatbot is not so useful, and this is this gave us an advantage. If you look to UiPath, I'm sure that UiPath at that position they have, they could choose Google or Microsoft. But maybe our, let's say, services or our constant value, it's they became more confident working with us. That's the reason, because otherwise you depend a lot of partners. That means that I'm not saying that Microsoft is not doing great products, but are very dependent by partners. That is the issue.
So just to go back to the subject of ERP systems, then in that case, much like Deutsche Bank likes SAP and I don't know, other banks like Amazon Cloud and what have you, what is your favorite company to work with when it comes to ERP? And what is your biggest success? Is it SAP? Is it maybe Oracle products? Is there a particular platform that you like working with when it comes to implementing your chatbot technology?
I think, first of all, we'll participate at that moment of time to a program to integrate our chatbots in SAP. With Microsoft Dynamics, we already integrate to all the clients, but with SAP will be a specific program in Berlin, and we will participate. It's accelerator. And I think that it's very important to be connected with this direct with this ERP or through the RPA. This is another way to do business, and I'll tell you why. For example, we are doing onboarding, which you know what means, for everybody knows what means robotics. That means that there is a first process, which is to identify the client through ID, through, let's say, balance sheet and different other documents, which are required. And then before, it was a specific application, very, very sophisticated, integrated in the SAP or different other ERP products of a bank. And this software was very difficult to be, it's very sophisticated, difficult to implement because there are always different ERP. But our solution of onboarding, it's very easy because the identification process is very modern through the chatbots, and then an RPA robot takes all the data and they update in all the information without any application. So it's fast, it's easy, and more modern. And I will tell you something again, the financial sector suffered because all the digitalization process is done just only on peripheral of a bank. Internally, they have the same system as 20 years ago. With the same people requires and why? Because 20 years ago, an ERP was necessary to be all the applications to be integrated in just only one database. This is not necessary now because the new technology like API can integrate any small application, very modern, and to have just a very strong product just with a small application which are integrated. So the financial sector sometimes are suffering because they are using, or majority of them, that's ERP, which were implemented 10 years ago or 15 years ago, like a monolith. Now it's not necessary to be a monolith due to the actual technology. And the change in general and the digitalization is as peripheral, like for onboarding, for my account, in different parts. But inside the ERP, it's old version. It's difficult to change that.
Well, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more change when it comes to technology across Europe. We have been focusing an awful lot on this. In fact, tomorrow we're writing about Deutsche Bank and how their CEO has committed hundreds of millions of dollars over the next few years to transform their business on a technology platform. So I think that your product may well still have its peak ahead of it, Liviu. But Liviu, I wanted to thank you for your time. It's been fascinating exploring the world of chatbots. It
was very pleasant.
And everything else. I'm very, very impressed with where your products are going and how you're approaching the business acumen. And I think a lot of startups can learn from your approach to the business. So Liviu, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you very much also that I have this opportunity to introduce to you and to everybody, my company and myself. Yeah.
Super. We will hopefully come back to you before the end of the year anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.